So, hello everyone. My name is Caitlin. I am a registered dietitian. I am a culinary nutritionist and trained chef. And I am going to be talking about mindful eating today. I work with Health Fairs Plus and Health Fairs Direct to do these really neat presentations. Awesome. I see someone from Richmond, Virginia. I was born and raised in Norfolk, Virginia, so very close to Richmond. All right. So like I said, for those of you that hopped on just a second ago, we will communicate through the chat. And this really is an interactive presentation. So for it to go the best way possible, it's awesome if you guys could answer the questions for me. All right. So let's get started. And I'm just confirming that everyone can hear me okay. So if you could just type into the chat if it's like a loud or good volume, that is always helpful too. All right, perfect. Thank you. All right, so perfect. Right here, I have two foods that we all know what they are. We have a cookie. Oop, wrong side. I have a cookie and then I have an apple. All right, let's start with the apple. Which one would you guess is healthier? This is an apple. If you Google it, you'll probably see something on the internet that says fruit is bad for us. Apples are high in sugar. They're going to be bad for our blood sugar. They're going to make us gain weight. And you'll read all of these things about fruit and apples or whatever, apples specifically. And then you look at the cookie. And if I were to tell you that this cookie is a gluten-free, vegan, keto-friendly cookie, which would you guess is healthier? Would you guess the apple or this gluten-free, keto, whatever cookie? All right. All right. Everyone is giving me the right answer. Everyone is typing in apple, and it is the correct answer. But here is what has happened. What has happened is us as a society and us as a culture have made eating very confusing. We know, we were raised knowing that fruits and vegetables are healthy for us, but somewhere along the line, we have created all of these food products, these drinks, these diets that have confused us. And now it's confusing, like, what should I be eating? Should I be following this diet? It is so confusing. And so we're going to learn a tool that's going to help us with that. All right, so let's back up a little bit, back to what I was just talking about with the cookie versus the apple. Well, there's something in today's society all over the world, not just in the United States, called diet culture. And maybe you've never heard this terminology before, but basically diet culture is beliefs. It's something that we have done that that we have made society feel like they need to be thin, and that healthy is thin, and that we need to have negative self-talk around foods, like this is a yes food, this food is healthy, this food is not healthy, we need to restrict our calories. And it has been so misconstrued, and everything again is so confusing, and we're not sure what we really should be doing. And that's what is so hard about this, especially if you have kids that are growing up now. It's even more confusing. All right, so you don't have to answer this in the chat. This is more of a mental question for you, but have you been on a diet before? Is there, do you restrict any sort of foods? Do you look at food labels and, say, I can't have that? Well, 65 Well, let's back up a little bit more. I want to talk about dieting just hasn't been around just in today's society. I was doing research for this presentation and I chuckled at the fad diets through the years. So fad diets are usually categorized as diets that are a short amount of time or promise big results, that type of thing. Things that aren't sustainable, can't be used for a long. So the first diet that really made me chuckle was actually back from the Victorian ages. It was called the tapeworm diet. And this is where women, mostly, maybe men did, but women wanted to fit into their corsets. So they would take a pill that had tapeworm eggs in them, and that would cause tapeworms in their stomach to eat the food. That is insane. So diet culture dates back to hundreds of years ago. In 1929, there was a fad diet called the cigarette diet that was actually promoted by cigarette companies that said, whenever you're hungry, just smoke a cigarette, because cigarettes are appetite suppressants. So that's really healthy. So again, you're seeing these diets, these things that promise weight loss that are extremely unhealthy. In 1950, there was something called the cabbage soup diet. This is another one that's really funny because it's all you eat during the day is cabbage soup, and then you're allowed one normal meal at night. Well, that's no way to live, because cabbage is 90% or more water. But also, I wouldn't want to live that way, because cabbage is like normally a gas forming food. And if that's all you're eating, your stomach is not going to be happy. In 1976, there was a diet called the Sleeping Beauty diet, where whenever you started to get hungry for the day, you took a sleeping pill, and then you slept through the day, and at night you woke up and ate one meal. So just to show you, all of these diets are absolutely insane, but at the time they sounded normal. And in today's society, we have all of these diets, things like keto or intermittent fasting. And you think that this is what you should be doing, because that's what you hear about. You hear about the success story of these things. But let's take a step back. And there's this cycle that happens with dieting. What happens is usually we want to lose weight. So we get on a diet, and it goes well for a little bit. Usually like a week or two. But when I was researching, I found that only 25% of Americans can sustain a diet longer than 2 weeks, because they feel restricted. And then we come to the next part of this little vicious cycle. It's feeling restricted. So then we're going to have increased cravings, increased hunger. And then we're going to give up, because we can't do it. It's not sustainable. So then you're feeling bad about yourself because you couldn't follow your diet. And so you're like, oh, whatever, I'll just eat everything instead. And then you gain the weight back. You've actually decreased your metabolism. And this just happens over and over again. 95% of people that go on diets will gain the weight back in less than 5 years. 65% of people who lose weight doing these types of fad diets will actually keep the weight off that they lose. So maybe you do a diet and you do lose weight, and that's great, but keeping it off is another marker of how well these types of diets work. But losing weight or staying a healthy weight, kind of restricting certain foods, is so normal in our society that it's one of the top 3 New Year's resolutions every single year. And the average American will follow at least 4 diets in their lifetime. But what I'm getting at is that it's not healthy, and it's no way to live, because you can't sustain it. And not being able to sustain it, it's not good for us. It's not good for our body to lose weight, gain weight, lose weight, gain weight. Like I said, it's not very good for our hormones or our metabolism. So I want to teach you a tool, and it's a really great tool. but it takes a lot of practice. It's called mindful eating. It's a tool that kind of focuses on the person's awareness and experience around food. And you can learn so many great things about it. You're going to be in the moment with your food. And I have this picture of this baby on here because we were little once like this baby, and we actually ate mindfully, believe it or not. So babies, when they get food on their high chair, well, on their, in front of them, they look at it, they touch it, they put it in their mouths, they decide whether they like it, they make little judgments about it, and they really experience the food. And when a baby is done eating, when the baby is full, it stops, which a lot of us don't do. So we are going to learn how to kind of get back to that, get back to figuring out what food does for us and how much food we actually need. All right, so like I said, for this to be the most successful chat for me, or presentation, I need you guys to interact a little bit. So I'm going to stand off to the side and you can look at this picture. Now, I want you to look and tell me, is this healthy? Is this not healthy? What are some things that you notice right away when you look at this plate of food? So anything that comes to your mind, I'm curious. So go ahead and type that into the chat. Okay, not healthy, too much fat. Looks good, not healthy, no veggies. Yes. All right, so now, oh yeah, you guys are good. Fried, simple carbs. There's so much of it, fried and white. Oh, you guys are great. These are some great answers. All right, so now we're gonna look at this food and type into the chat what you notice right away. What do we see? This is good stuff, colorful, healthy, greens, healthy fats. That is awesome. So this is the first principle of mindful eating. This is how it all begins. To eat mindfully, the first step is actually looking at your food. And I know that it sounds like such a weird thing for me to tell you to do, because of course you look at your food, but we live in such a fast-paced society. A lot of us eat while we're driving, eat while we're working, eat while we're on our phone. We don't take the time to actually sit there and look at it. Is it appealing? Where does it come from? Are there lots of colors? Is the food highly processed? Things like that. So the first step is taking a step back, taking a deep breath, looking at your food, and really being in the moment and getting away from everything else. So I'll get more into that with the next principles. But when you're looking at your food, someone mentioned very colorful. And I do want to note that that is something that is important too. Eventually, once you start using this mindful eating, these techniques in your daily life, you'll start to realize how certain foods affect your body differently. But one of those things is the colorful. And I say that because another thing that diet culture does is like push foods to boost your immune system. There's not really certain foods that boost your immune system other than fruits and vegetables. Those brightly colored foods are actually the ones that are full of those antioxidants and those vitamins and minerals. And that's what keeps you healthy. So looking at your food, making sure you're touching all colors of the rainbow. And it seems like such an elementary thing to say, but different colors provide different nutrients. So it is important to kind of challenge yourself and say, all right, today, can I hit at least 4 colors of the rainbow? Mention on that first slide of food that it was very brown and white, and that's eating things that are bright and full of lots of color. Color provides nutrients. So if you want to stay healthy, and you'll notice as you start to eat mindfully, you'll eventually gravitate towards foods that are healthier. But silently express gratitude when you're looking at your food and enjoy it. Enjoy looking at it. So take that time to really look at it. All right. Again, like I said, we live in this super fast-paced culture. I am guilty too. I need to be better about this myself, but it's slowing down. It is slowing down. I eat very quickly. Now, I blame my children on this because I have a 3 and a 5-year-old, and my period of quietness to be able to eat is very short. However, it is important to slow down. Your food, when you eat your food very, very quickly, you eat larger amounts. And I'm sure that you've heard this, but it really does take your stomach and your mind 20 minutes to connect and say, okay, I'm full. So if you're eating so quickly, you're not allowing you're probably going to overeat. So what happens is the food doesn't get to the first part of your intestines until about 20 minutes later, once it's left the stomach. And that's when I'm really, really full. So stop, slow down, drink water in between bites, put your fork down in between each bite. Try talking, enjoy your company. I'll say this like throughout the presentation, probably like a gazillion times, but try to eat with people. If you're eating alone, you might be a little bit more rushed. Eat as a family and talk as you're eating. There's kind of you can kind of pretend like you're on the show like Top Chef or Chopped, and with whoever you're with, oh, I really like the cilantro that's in this, or, I really like that this has a nice texture to it. Describe what you're eating, really enjoy it. So you're not just like wolfing everything down, because I know that sometimes we're guilty of that. So slow down and make sure that you have set aside a time to eat, that you have time to actually enjoy a meal. Okay, this sounds very strange, but you need to chew your food. I know, it's very weird. Does anyone that's listening out there chew their food up to 20 to 40 times? Because that is how much we should actually be chewing our food. So 20 to 40 times is the average amount. So a good rule of thumb too is to put what is on your fork, very small bites, like similar to what you would feed, a child under 2 years old, not huge pieces of whatever you're eating. It's good for a few reasons. It's good to help your stomach digest. It's actually going to make it easier to digest a lot of foods. If you don't chew your food thoroughly, it is harder for your body to digest things, but it also slows down that process and it forces you to eat a little bit longer. And by doing that, you're going to stop overeating. So yeah, smaller bites, really chewing, and don't stuff your mouth. You don't have to fit everything on your plate in your mouth in like 3 bites. So have smaller bites, and you can even, do smaller size places too, or plates to help with that portion control as well. I know this all sounds weird, but I'm going to bring it all back together at the very end. All right. Who out there eats while either in front of their computer, while on their phone, while driving, working, I don't know, the TV's on. I mean, I'm sure we're probably all guilty at some time or another of eating while distracted. When I teach, like I said, I'm a dietitian, I see clients one-on-one, but my number one rule for them, absolutely number one, eat without distraction. When you are distracted, you eat more. You don't even know how much you're eating because you're distracted. So again, taking it back to the last two kind of like principles that we learned, chewing our food and kind of like slowing down, looking at what we're eating. We don't need to be inhaling food. And a lot of times when we're distracted, we can, we look down and like, oh my gosh, the whole plate is gone. And we haven't even had time to enjoy the food. Did we even know if it was good? So it is important to make sure that you are not distracted. A great thing, like I said, I'll keep mentioning it, is eating with people. Enjoy the company, enjoy the food, be in the actual moment. And we lose that so often because of this fast-paced culture we live in. So if you are at work on your desk while you're eating, it's fine. Just don't be working. You can still have a successful, mindful meal. Okay. So listening to your body throughout the meal. Like I said, mindful eating is a very like whole body experience. So before you sit down to eat, am I hungry? Like how hungry am I? And you need to actually pause and stop at different parts of the meal and saying, am I full? Is this food good? Do I like this food? Is it making me feel bad? And if you start to eat mindfully and kind of think about how each food makes you feel, once you've pulled all of this together and you've been eating mindfully for a few days, you'll then learn there are certain foods that make me feel better than others. When I had a donut for breakfast on Tuesday morning, man, like an hour later, I did not feel so good. I was sluggish. I didn't have a lot of energy. But on Wednesday morning, when I had that oatmeal that had a bunch of fiber in it, it had some protein, it had a little bit of fat in there, I had more energy. I was able to concentrate longer, things like that. You can even be able to identify when your body doesn't agree with certain foods. You can think of a time when you had like something that was like higher in fat or ultra processed, and you think, oh my gosh, my stomach was so upset after that. And you're really learning what your body prefers to eat. There are people that even get to the point that like know when they need something salty because my body needs more salt. It's a very, very interesting tool. But the first thing you need to do is listen to your body before the meal starts. And you'll identify appetite versus hunger. Now, I'm going to make this make a little bit more sense to us. I'm going to skip to this one for a second, then I'll go back. All right. This is a hunger scale. This is another tool that I'm always teaching because it really lets us understand how that whole 20 minutes and not being starving. All right, let me back up and say, back in the caveman days, we were really primal. And when we saw food, we knew we had to eat it. We had to eat it quickly because we didn't know what was going to happen next. So if there was food in front of us, we would eat a lot because who knows the next time we're going to eat. Well, we still have a hormone inside us that reacts that same way. So when you're starving, when you're so hungry, you are less likely to make good choices. You're more likely to choose something that is quick and fast rather than something that is going to nourish us and keep us full longer. So with a hunger scale, 1 being, oh my gosh, I am going to die. I am so hungry. And 10 being, this is the most I've ever eaten on Thanksgiving in my life and my stomach is going to explode. So those are the 2 extremes. You should start eating somewhere around a 3. A 3 to 4 is I feel hungry, but I'm not starving yet. So that is the window of where you should be eating. Okay, I'm starting to feel hungry. Don't wait and make yourself even more hungry, because those are when poor choices occur. And we want to stop eating somewhere around a 6 or a 7. I'm slightly feeling full. That slightly feeling full will translate to full once our body and our stomach come in line with each other. So stopping around that 6 or 7 point. I'm not going to lie. This is not easy. You're not going to just be able to start doing this today, like perfectly. It's going to take some practice. But the bottom line is, do not wait until you're starving, and do not eat until you're stuffed. In that little window of anywhere between 3 and 7, you're going to actually eat the right amount of food. This will prevent like binges of eating a ton of chips at night on the TV, like when you're watching TV. This will prevent, you making poor choices when you're starving. What is number 5? Number 5 says starving, weak, and dizzy. So 3 and 4 is just like, I'm starting to feel hungry. I'm pretty hungry. I'll read them all to you. Number 1 says starving, weak, dizzy. Wrong. You're right. That is so weird. Thank you for correcting that. This is, like I said, I don't know if you were on the very beginning. This is the first time I'm doing this particular presentation. I came up with it last week. But it is something that I often teach, so I do need to correct that. Number 5 is you're just full. Like, you're not overly full. You've just had enough food. You're not hungry. You're not full. It's like right in the middle, I guess. Sorry. Thank you for correcting that. Number 2 is very hungry. 3 is pretty hungry. Number 4 is beginning to feel hungry. Number 6 would be slightly full. 7 is slightly uncomfortable. So you really don't want to get to that. But when you begin using the hunger scale, you might start stopping at number 7 at the beginning. 8 is stuffed, 9 is very uncomfortable, and 10 is so full you feel sick. You don't want to get to that point. You just need to listen to your body, and we have forgotten how to do that. Okay. Oh, no, I need to go back to enjoying your food. All right. So the best thing about mindful eating, this is like the best thing, is you get to forget all the food rules, all of the rules saying this isn't healthy. This, I can't have that. There is no that. Being mindful and eating mindfully all the time, the majority of the time, you're going to reach for foods that are healthier, because you're going to learn those are the ones that make you feel good. There have actually been studies. There was a study I was reading about in Australia. People that ate more fruits and vegetables were actually happier. Because if you think about it, if you're eating food that doesn't make you feel good, you're not going to be happy. If you don't feel good, you're not going to be as happy as you could be. So once you learn how to eat to make your body feel good, you can enjoy things like a cupcake on occasion. You can enjoy a glass of wine when you're out to dinner with people, but you'll learn that this isn't something you want to do all day, every day, because it's not what your body wants. It's not what makes your body feel good. But you can go and to a party and enjoy and be out and have fun, and not having to worry about, oh my gosh, am I going to eat like an entire pizza, or, oh, am I going to, eat all of these foods that I shouldn't be eating? Because we're going to get rid of that. There are no foods. Every food is fine, because you're listening to your body. You're not going to overeat. You've learned these tools. So that's the really cool part about this, is we're learning these things that we can have whatever we want. All right. So let's talk about water. Water, I feel like people in general don't drink enough water. Okay, so type into the chat, do you know how much water you should be drinking in a day? So just type into the chat. You can just say yes or no, or you can say an exact amount. But I say this because water is needed for us to be able to breathe. Water delivers oxygen and nutrients to our cells. Water is literally needed for every body process, but we usually in the United States, we have water available and we don't drink enough water as a society. Okay, so I'm getting a lot
Yeah, no.
Okay, just make sure you're on mute. Whoever isn't on mute, someone's not on mute. Okay, so all right, Natalie and Monroe are correct. The general rule of thumb is half of your weight in ounces. So if you take a step back, you think to yourself, like, how much water did I drink yesterday? Was it nearly enough? Here's the thing. If you're thirsty, you're already dehydrated. As a dietitian, I get to talk about all the fun things. So usually when I'm teaching people about hydration, I'm teaching people to look at their urine. If your urine is like a light lemonade color, that is ideal. If your urine is clear, that's not good. You're overhydrated. It's pretty darn hard to do to get clear urine. But if your urine is any darker than like a lightly colored lemonade, you're some degree of dehydration. It also depends on what age we are in life. If you're older in life, usually we start to decrease our thirst. Like we're not going to feel as thirsty. And those are the people that get dehydrated often. Also, people that get dehydrated are people that drink a lot of coffee or drink a lot of alcohol. Those two things are natural diuretics, which means they actually make us go pee more often. So take all of those things into consideration. Also, a lot with fluid. If you are doing any sort of physical activity, you're going to need extra water. If you're in a very hot climate, you're going to need more water. So these things might put us above that half of our body weight in ounces. If we have lost a lot of fluids when we're sick, we might need more water. But anyways, I just want to make sure that you're drinking water in between your meals. So drinking water throughout the day, but you can also use water as one of those slow down techniques. So take a sip of water in between your bites with all of your food. It can really, really help us slow down. Sometimes our body actually confuses hunger with thirst. So you might be like, oh, I'm hungry, but you're really thirsty. So just try drinking a little bit of water first and see if that helps. I do want to say that water is the best choice for hydration. However, you can drink other things to hydrate you. Technically, fruits and vegetables, most of them are 90% of water or more, unless if they're like a really starchy fruit or vegetable. So you can get some of your fluid needs that way. You can get some of your fluid needs by things like popsicles and soup. But we want to be getting the majority of it from water and avoiding the empty calories that come from sugar sweetened beverages. Like I see Gatorade used a lot often. Like Gatorade has its place, or like, you know, electrolyte replacement drinks. However, they can be really high in calories. So try to use those, you know, when you have been exercising more than an hour, when you've been sweating like a substantial amount. Sometimes people use them for sick days, like, you know, if you had diarrhea or vomiting to kind of replace or electrolyte. They shouldn't be consumed as like just a normal beverage, because that isn't the point of them. They're supposed to replace your electrolytes. All right. So I think that's all I wanted to say about water. I know I get really excited when we talk about water because I just feel like we don't drink enough water. All right. So what we're learning from mindful eating, and I kind of wanted to start with this first, but I put it kind of towards the end-ish because it's the most important part that you're going to take away from mindful eating. And that is learning the difference between appetite and hunger. A lot of times We have an appetite, but we're not actually hungry. So an appetite is when you're bored, or you're stressed, or you're sad, or you're celebrating, or you just want something. You want comfort. But hunger is your body's want for food. It's like when your stomach is growling, you're hungry. Your body is saying, feed me. I need food as fuel so that I can perform my daily functions. With mindful eating, especially if you are using the hunger scale, you're going to learn. You're going to learn, do I want comfort or am I actually hungry? And a great way to test this is when you're sitting on your couch at night and you're thinking, some popcorn sounds good, or some chips. I have some ice cream in the freezer. That sounds good. Stop. Think to yourself, am I hungry or do I have an appetite? So then ask yourself another question. Say, would I get up for the apple that's sitting on the counter, or am I just going to get up for those chips or ice cream? If you're willing to get up for that apple, then you're probably actually hungry. So you're really, really learning how to listen to your body. I don't know. I just think it's cool, but you'll get there. But the best way to like start mindful eating is just thinking, how hungry am I? Am I hungry? Or is it just an appetite? All right. So going back into that, when you have that appetite, when you want that comfort, let's redirect those things. Let's redirect those emotions that we're feeling. So if you're sad or stressed or angry or super happy, like you want to celebrate, let's redirect our emotions without rewarding ourselves with food, because we live in a rewarding society. Even my son is in preschool. His teacher gives him Skittles to put his toys away when he's done playing. And I'm like, but we've learned to reward ourselves with food. Let's stop doing that. We're listening to our bodies now. All right, let's say we're super, super stressed. Like, oh my gosh, you like so stressed. It sounds strange, but try some breathing exercises. Try a yoga class. Get outside. Go on a walk. There is nothing better mentally for you than like getting outside, breathing that air, getting a little bit of exercise. It is totally going to change your focus. If you're really upset, maybe listen to some calming music. If you're sad, take a bubble bath. Watch a show. Just because you're watching a show or a movie doesn't mean you need to have food to go with it. I know that these are things that we have kind of put together as a society. Like, I'm going to the movies, I need to get a large popcorn and a big Coke. No, you don't. You can sit and watch the movie without, eating. If you're celebratory, like it's so exciting, plan a vacation, like a trip that you can go on, even if it's a little trip. It doesn't have to be a cruise to Bali, research something that you're interested about. Organize something. Distract yourself and your mind with things other than just food, because I get really excited and because we really associate certain emotions and feelings with food, which we need to get away from doing that. All right. So here's a tool, whether you don't want to mindfully or not, this is a tool you need to use. If you want to eat healthy, you have to have healthy food, which requires planning. It drives me crazy because in a lot of my presentations, I do this scenario. There's like a gas station behind me, and I say, what if somebody gave you like a brand new Bentley, and you went to put gas in it? You're not going to put diesel fuel in your Bentley because your Bentley's not going to work. You're going to read and you're going to say, okay, this Bentley needs premium gasoline, and you're going to pay a little bit more for that. People take better care of their cars they read what goes into their cars, but they're not worried about what goes into their body. We're in a society that wants fast, quick, cheap, but we don't do that to our cars. So why do we not do that for ourselves? Well, it comes down to planning. Yes, we have to plan, but it makes such a difference. So set yourself up for success, which means you need to write a meal plan, go to the grocery store. I usually pick out 5 or 6 meals I want to try. I write them down. I do a grocery store trip once a week. I might meal prep a couple recipes, or if I don't meal prep, I'll like buy chicken that I can purpose a couple different ways. And that actually saves me time for those busy days. Let's say you know that you're not very good at cooking. You can do something as easy as a rotisserie chicken and some frozen vegetables or a bag of salad. It doesn't have to be complicated, but the bottom line comes, you need to plan. If you don't have the healthy food near you, you're not going to eat it, especially if you're getting to that, getting past that 3 or 4 on the hunger scale where you're starting to feel really hungry. You're not going to choose a meal that takes an hour to cook. So plan ahead and make sure that, base your weekly meal plan off of things that are on sale at the grocery store. It doesn't need to be complicated, but it will take a little bit of time at first. And once you figure out what your family likes, what you can do quickly, what is a good deal where you are, you can make this part of your daily routine. It does not need to be complicated at all, but this is super important. Also, if you go out to eat often, like that's just your thing, you don't want to cook, research the restaurants you're going to, figure out the healthier options. Nowadays, even things like Panera provides like the nutrition information if you did want to kind of look at what some better options are. So research before you go to a restaurant, kind of already make up your mind. So how do you eat mindfully in a social setting? And this is great for especially like holiday time, with Thanksgiving, Christmas, and Hanukkah and all of that. People, I feel like they feel like they are going to gain weight around that time because they feel that there's yes foods and no foods and they restrict things, but it doesn't need to be that way. Okay, so here are my tips for celebrations. Never go wherever, let's say it's a party, never go to a party starving. Again, that caveman response. We're going to eat what's not good for us. So if you know that you're going to a party or whatever, well, there's going to be food. Usually party food isn't the best choice. Just have a snack before, or be a great a person, or a friend or whatever, and bring something with you that is healthy, so you know that at least one thing there is healthy that you can be eating. Enjoy what you love. If there's cake there and you want a piece of cake, enjoy it. Don't inhale it. Sit there, enjoy it, eat it without distraction, so that you are getting what you love and you don't feel restricted and crave those foods that you can't have. Like it's one of those want what you can't have things with certain foods. Like, oh, I really want a donut, but I know I can't have that. Well, if you take away that yes food, no food mentality, and all foods fair game, like I said, you'll start to listen to your body and know what feels better for us. All right, back to a party. Don't hang out by the food. Don't pick at the food. Socialize away from the buffet table. Okay. Another thing that you can do is, if you're at a buffet type of event, or an event that just has a spread, choose a small plate to begin with. You don't need to have a huge plate that you load up, because we feel like we need to finish the food on our plate. We don't need to finish the food on our plate. I know I know that that's how a lot of us are raised, but we don't have to do that. That's not good for us. We need to listen to our bodies. So again, choose a smaller portion size. Get a little bit of everything. Enjoy, enjoy the foods that might be higher in calories, higher in fat, but also enjoy that with a side of like veggies and a healthier dip. So eating everything, but enjoying it. All right. So again, I just kind of want the benefits of mindful eating. Number one, it's not a diet. So it's not, yes, I can eat this. No, I can't eat this. It's an actual like way of thinking, and it's a change to your lifestyle. So it's not going to be one of these fad diets that it's like, oh, I can't have carbohydrates anymore, because following a diet that restricts any food group is not good for you. You should never eliminate an entire food group from your diet. So, kind of learn to embrace, I can have everything, whatever I want, whenever I want it, as long as I enjoy it. And doing that will help you probably lose some weight if you do eat a lot of foods that aren't as healthy normally, but it will also prevent things like heart attack, diabetes, cancer, that are all linked to those ultra processed foods that we'll stop leaning towards because they're not going to make us feel as good. All right. So that's kind of what mindful eating is. I always finish a few minutes early for questions. I do want to say we are now a lot more active on social media at Be More Health Coaching. We do giveaways, we have recipes, there's like free like workout materials, all different sorts of stuff. So follow along if you want to learn more, but we just like to connect with you guys. That's why we do these webinars that we can chat with. Okay, I just thought, what about sparkling water? Sparkling water is fine. The only drawback I see with sparkling water is sometimes the bubbles will fill us up and we'll actually drink less because we feel a little bit full. I don't find that to be the case for myself. I love sparkling water and I probably drink about 2 a day. But I think it's very great as long as it's not unsweetened. Do we have any other questions? Ask away, you guys. It could be about food, nutrition, whatever. What is the real deal with drinks like Rockstar? Okay. So energy drinks are super high amounts of caffeine. Caffeine in high doses really isn't good for us because although it is an upper, there is a downer after that. So especially, there's a lot of chemicals and additives. It wouldn't be something I would usually recommend. I would enjoy coffee before I would enjoy something that's ultra processed like that. Some of them are made for like pre-workouts and they do have certain vitamins and minerals in them. But again, a lot of additives and preservatives and colors and dyes and artificial flavorings. So it's not something I would usually recommend. What about watermelon juice? Is it too sweet? Here's my deal with juice. This is such a great question. I don't usually recommend juice. Unless if it's like pureed watermelon. All fruit is good for us. Fruit, although it does have sugars, they're more natural sugars. I recommend doing something more like a smoothie rather than a juice. Smoothies have fiber in them where the fiber is removed. So if the fiber is removed, it digests very quickly, and those calories are used. We might drink more, or it would be higher in calories. So usually it's not the best choice. Now, if you puree the watermelon and there is a little bit of fiber in there, I would mix that with maybe some sparkling water or something. It's not the worst thing you're going to do, but a healthier option would be water. and just eating a slice of watermelon, I guess. So complicated question. I don't usually recommend juice because anytime you have a higher amount of sugar, even if it is a natural sugar, like from fruit, you're going to have a come down right after. Plus, you're not full from it, so you're still going to be eating calories in addition to that. Hopefully that helps. All right. What about foods that boost vitamin D? Foods, well, certain foods contain vitamin D, and a lot of times things that we eat are fortified with that vitamin D because people need more vitamin D. I don't know. I don't know. Anyways, if you can look at your like DRI of vitamin D, but usually foods that like milk and dairy products that are fortified with vitamin D would give you a decent amount of extra vitamin D. I hope that helps. Oh, I see. Okay. Why are so many things like energy drinks full of B vitamins specifically? So certain B vitamins give us energy. However, not all vitamins are storable. So anything we can't utilize are excreted. So things like if you were to take a multivitamin or if you did drink an energy drink, a lot of times you'll see that your urine is like bright yellow after you drink it. And those are all of the vitamins and minerals that we cannot utilize. So you can consume things like energy drinks that are really high in B vitamins, but it'll be more of like a short burst and will excrete what we don't need after it. Okay, let's talk. Yeah, Natalie, let's do it. Natalie asked intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting is very similar to mindful eating because it is something where they don't tell you, yes, you can have this food. No, you can't have this food. Intermittent fasting, for those of you that don't know what it is you can eat during certain time periods, and there's different time periods available that you can do. Now, we know that to a degree, intermittent fasting works because guess what? We all do it every night. When you're sleeping, you're intermittent fasting. So we fast every single night. But what intermittent fasting does is it kind of makes that window smaller of when we can eat. The problems I see with intermittent fasting, especially if you have a shorter period of time where you can eat, is one, we get that I need to eat whatever's around me and I need to eat it quickly. But two is like sometimes those food choices aren't as healthy. Then we start to kind of obsess over when we can eat, when we can't. And that's not a really healthy way of living. So I did read a study that within 3 months, I think it was like over 85% of people can't keep up with intermittent fasting. So it's not something I would recommend. Intermittent fasting is good because if you're a late night snacker, you can't do that anymore. So telling myself, oh, I have to stop eating at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Well, you can't have anything to eat after that. And usually in the evening, when we have, an alcoholic beverage or we're having some snack foods while we're waiting for dinner or after dinner, those are the calories you're eliminating and you're losing weight from that. I don't recommend it because it's not sustainable. And again, this up and down of you losing weight, gaining weight, losing weight, gaining weight is not going to benefit you in the long run. It's better to do something that is sustainable, something like mindful eating, and generally making better food choices is going to be the way to successfully lose weight and do it for a long period of time. Intermittent fasting doesn't work if, let's say, you have a party on Saturday night and you're like, oh, I'm going to go to this party and I just won't intermittent fast for this day. It doesn't work that way. Like if you wanted to go to that party, you could literally only drink water because you can't eat and you can't have whatever beverage you would normally drink. So again, for me, it's not like a way to live your entire life, I guess. So bad. Any other questions? These are great questions. Thank you. Thank you to Joy. Like I said, my first time doing this presentation, so I will fix that scale and that typo. Okay, so juicing. Oh my gosh, Joy, you would cringe. I'm the worst at typos. Okay, juicing, same thing. Juicing is kind of like those energy drinks that we talk about, because juicing, you're getting a whole lot of vitamins at one time. And that's the push for juicing. Oh, have this juice to detox, or have this juice to boost your immune system. But we can only utilize so much at one time of a lot of those vitamins and minerals. So we're just getting rid of the rest. With juicing, we eliminate any type of fiber that is in a fruit or vegetable. That fiber is what keeps us full. It slows the digestion. So you could drink, this is the example I usually give. You can drink about 6 ounces of orange juice or eat a big orange. If you drink 6 ounces of orange juice, you're going to have the same amount of calories as that big orange, essentially. And you're not going to feel full like you would from the orange, because you don't have to digest anything. That orange juice or green juice or whatever kind of juice, that fiber that's needed to slow that digestion isn't there. So we're going to consume more calories throughout the day because we're not full. We're not full from juicing. So if you like the idea of juicing for like, oh, it's a quick meal that's all contained and I like drinking things, do a smoothie. Smoothies are a better way to get protein. Usually juices don't have protein. You'll be getting fiber. So if you add dairy in there, plus you'll be getting the vitamins and minerals. So I almost never recommend juicing. If they push it as a detox, we don't need a detox from anything. Our intestines, our lungs, our liver, and our kidneys work in our body as our detoxers and get rid of anything that shouldn't be there. So having things like a juicing cleanse, I've read studies where people have juiced so much, they are having toxic amounts of vitamins and minerals that are bad for things like our liver. So although that's not the norm, it's not, there are way better things you could do than juice. Anybody else? These are great questions. All right, so if you don't have anything else, we are done and you can leave. And thank you so much. Thanks for bearing with me on my first time with this one. All right, you guys. Thank you. Thank you.